Good morning, Sunday Subway. How's everybody feeling today? Good. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. I know it's kind of tough these days with the weather and everything. No, actually, it's a beautiful day out there, isn't it? Who enjoyed Friday, by the way? Who called in sick? Luckily, I already had that as my work from home day. Okay, so we're going to get started, and the first thing we're going to start off with is our meditation, okay? So if everybody please just quiet down, we're all going to be in silence. We're going to have some music playing, and there's going to be some stuff on here. So the way I usually meditate is usually like, again, in silence, and I close my eyes, and one thing that really helps me get into it is I picture myself as a solid object. It could be a tree trunk, it could be a flagpole, it could be just a solid object, and also picture my air going in and out. Whatever that means to you as you're just breathing. Just picture the air coming in, and then when it leaves you, however you envision it, this is your fantasy, your hallucination. You can do whatever you want with it, okay? So, is everybody's phone on silent, by the way? Hopefully maybe airplane mode, or just the night mode, because we can still hear the psst, 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 psst. Sometimes that's louder than the actual ring. So everybody's good? Hey Victor, how you doing?
Hey, doing great.
All right.
Trying to rehydrate myself here.
All right. You got water? Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, hi.
It always works best with your eyes closed.
All right, how's everybody feeling now? A little refreshed? Still sleepy? No, snooze button. I want to sleep some more. Anybody needs to get up and stretch?
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Do you know the name of that song?
Yes, that is called Resurrection by PPK. And if you like that, wait till you listen to 3 hours of that on ecstasy. It's awesome! I just want to make it also clear that I am not promoting drug use. I'm just saying we were all teenagers and 20s and whatever. But just out of curiosity, when people were listening to the music, obviously there's a lot of layering of different musics, different notes. Did anybody visualize something specific with anything, with any sounds? For example, when I hear that, I always picture dragonflies. Dragonflies flying around in outer space. But that was my hallucination. Anybody else? No? I'm the only one who hallucinates? Okay. Well, that's you. Okay. So, Sunday Assembly, we are a humanist congregation. And what do? We celebrate life! Yay! That's right, that's what we do, because that's why we're all here. We're all alive, we're all living. And we have 3 very simple models we go by. Live better, help often, and wonder more. Basically, education, learn something new every day. Always better ourselves, learn from each other. Maybe you teach somebody else something. Help often, because you never know when you might help, so it's always good to be charitable to other people. And if you do those 2 things, then living better is so much easier because it sets you on the right path and being a good person. So, continuing in 2024, we have our leadership. John Colone, host, is our officer, but frankly, I think that should say science officer, because if you know him, you know he's our resident wizard. We have Laura Lochi. That's what I get right eventually. Our communications officer. Don't call her Lieutenant O'Hara. There is myself. I'm a general officer, techie, and a chef. Mostly I stick with the marketing aspect, advertising, going out, promoting us to Southeast Michigan. There's like 11 million people in the state of Michigan, 4.5 million live in Metro Detroit, Southeast Michigan. There's plenty of people that come in, and that's what I'm working on. That's what I'll be working on more this year. I'm not going to go into much of it today because we don't have our official first marketing meeting till this coming week. So at the next assembly, we'll update you exactly what we want to do this year and our plans and goals for the next 5 years. Because every business and every person should have a 5-year plan. Even if you're 95, you should have a 5-year plan, even if it's don't die. That's everybody's, I think. Then we also have a new member, Justine Turner. Thank you, welcome. And we give her a round of applause. And she'll be our membership officer. We have Steve G. I'm not going to pronounce his last name. He's going to be our outreach officer, which is also part of marketing, and we'll be working together on that. And we have our oldies but goodies. Victoria Edwards, our secretary. Austin Edwards, our vice president and treasurer. And Joe Buczynski as our president. And Joe, you want to come up and let us know what's going on? How did you know? Whichever one you want.
Yes. Those of you that didn't know, it was a very fitting song for me because I named one of my daughters after a Sith Lord. So, very fitting. Promise I won't go. I understand it on you guys though. Yes, so, word from the president. I just wanted to thank everybody for being here today. It's been, as we gather here, united in our ideals of living better, helping often, and wondering more, I'm, kind of been reminded a lot of the enduring light that resides within each of us lately. The world at the moment, both at a personal level for many of us, and I know, if we take it up to a level of distraction in society, things can be challenging. We're all facing adversities. I know from talking with many of our members, we've had several people who've had deaths in their family lately. Things have been rough. Sometimes the bastards in our life aren't people. They're, dealing with, the fundamental realities that we, have to contend with. But it's, precisely in these moments when having something like Sunday Assembly, I think is especially important so that we can come together, face these challenges as a group as opposed to trying to face them by ourselves. I think this, the mantra that John is going to talk to us about today, don't let the bastards get you down, captures that, the resilience of the human spirit that can be important in these trying times. Sorry. So yeah, for those, our heart goes out to all of you, who've been facing different challenges. I know John, isn't here to be with us lately, but it was a very moving memorial that we had at the UU Church lately for his son and heir. I want to take a moment to really, express our sympathy as Sunday Assembly to him. It was a very difficult thing, but I know there have been others. I know Steve had a death in the family lately. I did as well. So for all those of you out there who are struggling right now, I just want to say our heart goes out to you. But one of our goals for the year is to try and do more things to try and help take care of everyone. Try and build that resilience with everybody. So my friends, as we continue our journey, let us hold fast to the belief that no matter what challenges may come our way, we have the strength and resilience to overcome them. Let us refuse to be brought down by the bastards who seek to dim our light. Let us shine ever brighter, illuminating a new path forward for ourselves and future generations. Thank you. Are you doing the introduction? So next up, we are going to be, skipping this up. My wife Mary will be coming up next to do our reading, and we have chosen a passage from one of her favorite books, The Things They Carry by Tim O'Brien. I'll welcome her to the stage.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, this is my favorite book, if you can't tell. It's kind of a bit
Okay, closer to the.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. So this passage I'm going to read, it's one short chapter in this book. It's kind of a collection. This book is kind of a collection of short stories. I don't know if anyone here has read it before, but kind of a collection of short stories that are war stories, but also, as he says in the book, could be love stories, could be feel good or feel bad stories. So this particular story is called Style. There was no music. Most of the hamlet had burned down, including her house, which was now smoke. And the girl danced with her eyes half closed, her feet bare. She was maybe 14. She had black hair and brown skin. Why is she dancing, as R said. We searched through the wreckage, but there wasn't much to find. Rat Kiley caught a chicken for dinner. Lieutenant Cross radioed up to the gunships and told them to go away. The girl danced mostly on her toes. She took tiny steps in the dirt in front of her house, sometimes making a slow twirl, sometimes smiling to herself. Why is she dancing? Azar said. And Henry Dobbins said it didn't matter why, she just was. Later, we found her family in the house. They were dead and badly burned. It wasn't a big family, an infant and an old woman and a woman whose age was hard to tell. When we brought them out, the girl kept dancing. She put the palms of her hands against her ears, which must have meant something, and she danced sideways for a short while and then backwards. She She did a graceful movement with her hips. Well, I don't get it, Azar said. The smoke from the hooches smelled like straw. It moved in patches across the village square, not thick anymore, sometimes just faint ripples like fog. There were dead pigs, too. The girl went up on her toes and made a slow turn and danced through the smoke. Her face had a dreamy look, quiet and composed. A while later, when we moved out of the hamlet, she was still dancing. Probably some weird ritual, Azar said, but Henry Dobbins looked back and said no, the girl just liked to dance. That night, after we marched away from the smoking village, Azar mocked the girls dancing. He did funny jumps and spins. He put the palms of his hands against his ears and danced sideways for a while, and then backwards, and then did an erotic thing with his hips. But Henry Dobbins, who moved gracefully for such a big man, took Azar from behind and lifted him up high and carried him over to a deep well and asked if he wanted to be dumped in. Azar said no. All right then, Henry Dobbins said, dance right.
Oh, it's warm in here. She fits like a real preacher. Hope it has nothing to do with our topic. New feature we added recently was a moment of wonder, which is basically, in my opinion, something that is really, really joyful and happy in our lives. We all have issues that come up. We all have little issues, big issues, things that bring us down, and sometimes we just have sad days. So it's very important to have good, solid, really, really happy memories to fall back on and remember the good times and know that there'll be happier days ahead and this isn't the worst of it. You'll get out of this because we always do. For me personally, when I was in my 20s, I did a lot of traveling. And one of the places that I went to when I was 24 was to Israel for my cousin's wedding. And now this is a cousin that is my age, but he grew up in Israel, and I grew up either in Ukraine or then later in America. So we never really knew each other. We emailed a little back and forth in the 90s, but not a whole lot. And we just knew of each other. We had only met one other time, and that was actually about 2-3 years earlier at a different cousin's wedding. And we got along great. So when we went out to his wedding in 2006, he said, you know what, we're not gonna go on our honeymoon, we're gonna go down to Egypt. So he drove us down there to a little resort town called Dahab in the Sinai Peninsula, and it was awesome. We went four-wheeling in the Sinai Peninsula. That's my cousin Guy up there, and that's his wife, at the time new bride, Orion. And basically, we rented some four-wheelers, and we went out there, went dune hopping, went crazy. It was awesome. As long as you didn't break it, you could pretty much do whatever you want. This middle top picture I thought was really interesting because you literally are in a desert where there's practically nothing. And then I see this one little tree in the middle of nowhere. And I thought, that's gotta be like the loneliest tree in the world. It has nobody. It doesn't even have an animal to walk by, say hello to it. And then we four-wheeled all the way to a real oasis where they have a natural spring, they have a pump, they bring in fresh water, and they'll make you tea. There's a Bedouin, a real authentic Bedouin that lives at the oasis. He takes care of you, gets you whatever you want. Give us a Coca-Cola for 10 cents. That was the equivalent of the exchange. And obviously, even though it's written in Arabic, everybody knows what Coca-Cola looks like. So we just hung out at this oasis, smoked cigars, relaxed, talked, because that's what people did. And I found that to be one of the coolest times ever because I started thinking about all the stuff that had happened on this land. Whether you believe Moses walked or not, this is technically where he received the 10 Commandments. This is where the Jews wandered for 40 years until they settled in Canaan. This is where so many bloody wars have been fought from the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans. Everybody fought for this land, even though it's mostly desert. So this is one of my happiest times, happiest places, and that's what I wanted to share with you today. So, moving on to our main event. Today's guest speaker was born and raised in Hell, Michigan. He is a veteran of our military, which is very important to clarify these days. and he's the creator of Damnation University. I tell you more about him, but even I'm sick and tired of listening to me. So please welcome John Colone. I was about to say Lockheed, thank you for being here.
Try this. Does this pull off?
It should, yeah.
Got it. Everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
Thank you.
If you're gonna be moving around, maybe move the cord on the other side of the pole.
Yeah, good idea. Thank you.
Just preventing accidents.
When I was asked to come here to speak, I'm going, what the hell do they want somebody from here to talk about or anything? So, I have the privilege of owning businesses in the little town of Hell, Michigan. It's the only town in North America, United States and Canada, named Hell. There's one other town legally named Hell, and that is in Norway. So that was the other thing. So we're the only two towns in the world by the name of Hell. We were settled in 1838 by George Reese and his family. George had 5 kids, no reason to call it Hell. But he ended up building a little lumber yard in Hell, and he would cut trees down and make lumber for building homes and things like that. And he would, as his business grew, he brought in like a general store and stuff. And he built another mill to grind the local farmers' grain into flour and stuff. And he also operated a whiskey still. So a lot of times that first 7-10 bushels of grain became whiskey or moonshine. And a lot of times horses would come home without riders, drivers without drivers. I guess I meant wagons without drivers and stuff. And somebody had asked the wife, well, where's your husband? And the reply was, oh, he's gone to hell. So in 1841, when the state came by and asked George what he was going to name his town, he said, call it Hell for all I care. And it stuck. We're officially named Hell, Michigan. So our population is 72. It's made up of hellions, hellbillies, and wannabes. We have 3 business districts, uptown, midtown, and downtown. There's 1 store in each. Population, like I said, is 72 people. Netflix 2 years ago named us America's funniest small town. And that was the whole idea behind it. We just have to be so different than any other town. We just do everything we can to make folks laugh. You'll all notice you have an exit. There's a specimen bag there for everybody. There's an exit visa for you that allows you safe passage out of our town. I know it works because, last October, we always give the sheriff department, the deputies that stop by, or state police, free coffee or ice cream. And the guy from the sheriff's department came in, and we were talking, and he left, after he had his ice cream, and probably half hour later, he sticks his head through the door and says, we got a situation, you got a problem. I go, what's wrong? And he's holding this card up. He said, I just stopped a guy for doing 22 miles over the speed limit, and he hands me this. John, there was no effing way I could give him a ticket, but I took this away from him. So, anyway, stick this on. I was asked to speak about our university, DamU, Damnation University, Hell, Michigan. It was actually, I'm 79 years old. and it was actually a project in the 10th grade in Pinckney schools. We were all asked, it was the end of the marking period, getting ready for summer break, and we were all had to come up with a business. And you had to present it to the class, and it was part of the your grade for the end of the year. And I thought about everything. I loved cars. I worked at a little dealership that I eventually ended up owning and stuff, but just nothing seemed fit. And I wasn't the best student at all, believe me. I think I graduated from high school, with about a 1.8 average, or almost a 2-point average, and just, you know, but I was president of my class 3 years in a row, so that was something. So anyway, you know, just have to come up with some ideas on stuff. So I wrote this thing about DamU, Damnation University, and on the cover it was a picture of the dam and how that holds back 7 different lakes. And so I did my whole presentation, and all my buddies laughed at me and everything else. Every other word was hell and damn you and this and that. And I think one of the rules were you had to have a 2.5 average or lower to attend the university. And you know, just different things like that. A couple days before school let out, Mr. Bagley, the teacher, asked me to stay after class. He wanted to discuss my presentation. And I was the only kid in the class he asked to do that, so I knew I was in trouble. But he actually said he liked it. And he said he gave me an A, which I didn't see a lot of. And anyway, so he says, you know, he says, I was out drinking with my buddies the other night. Now, he's a school teacher in his mid-30s, single, and I'm a 16-year-old kid. And he says, we were talking about stuff, and I was telling them about your presentation. And he says, you know, every university needs a Latin or Greek motto. And he says, we came up with one for you. And I have stuck by this my whole life. It just changed me, I think, on the spot. His motto was illegimentary non carborundum. What does that mean? He goes, don't let the bastards wear you down. And it's many, many occasions throughout my whole life I've used that. We'll get on DamU here a little bit more. I just want to double check my notes, make sure we're we do have a mayor. His name is Odom Plenty. He lives right down the road by his girlfriend, Robin Faith. And if you have any problems at all while you're in hell, you go to hell and wait, and hell will take care of you. Now you're finding out that I made up every bit of this stuff for the town, and everybody believes it. So, our wedding chapel, we have a little wedding chapel. Last year we did 171 weddings in our wedding chapel. Every February 29th we do free weddings. And at this moment, I think I checked this morning, we're at 34 weddings that day. A marriage that starts in hell has nowhere to go but up. We guarantee every marriage. If it doesn't work, we'll do it again free for you and your next partner. Okay, I think we've had about 4 redos and stuff. We have Locks of Love Bridge. You can lock your love in hell. We sell locks for like $10, and everybody gets a certificate, even if they bring in their own lock. And like I said, there's about 600 locks on our bridge right now. So it's become quite a popular thing. In August, we opened a scattering yard. You can now leave the ashes of your loved one or that SOB that deserves to be in hell. We charge a whole $60. The local cemetery is at just under $4,000 to bury the ashes in the cemetery. We have a miniature golf course, and it's all kind of made up of different funny things and everything, and it's open all year round. People can go in the winter. This group maybe, and as we offer for nonprofits, and we do a lot of churches and military events and schools and things like that, we give them the miniature golf course to run for 4 hours. You advertise it, and you keep every penny that you raise. We do all have tournaments in Hellbilly Golf. We made all our own clubs, and we golf with walnuts. So it's all over the place. So we do also. Anybody ever play Hellbilly horseshoes?
Is it anything like Polish horseshoes?
Hellbilly horseshoes. We toss toilet seats. Our 18th hole, we talked about George Reese just recently, our founder. He actually, and this part's true, part of it's true. He actually fought in the Civil War. He was a 49er and went to California and panned for gold and things like that. And in 1872, he wandered out into the woods and was never found again. George Reese, they had different search parties, everything for George Reese. When we were excavating for the 18th hole, we found Reese's pieces. Now after you play golf, everybody gets a piece of George. Okay? We have different events throughout the year. We had I actually have a frame, get this book, World of Record of the largest hearse show on earth. We had, what was it, 217 or 218 hearse at our hearse show a few years ago. We had to stop it because of the traffic and stuff. We also had, before Woodward came along, the largest cruise in the state of Michigan. About 1,600 cars. We'd have the car show. We rented the parking at this local high school and had a car show, and at 4 o'clock when everything stopped so they could award the awards and stuff, and at 5 o'clock this all went to, I gave all the money to the local community chest or stuff like that. So they had volunteers helping us. We would leave the school grounds at about 5 o'clock and headed west to Gregory, where everybody got a 10-ounce small bottle of Coke, glass bottle. They didn't sell them in Michigan at that time. I had to go to Indiana and pick up 2,000 bottles. The third year they decided to deliver them. Coke did. Oh, come on, John. From there, we ended up at Unadilla Field, which is a grass airfield, and everybody had hot dog roast and ice cream. And then on to from there towards Hamburg, Michigan, where we had we'd have donkey baseball games. The company had, so just different things. Constantly we had to be different, and we talked about a little bit about leadership, and I think that's the whole thing. Not everybody has to go to college. Myself, I was kicked out. I was doing apprenticeship with General Motors, and as a pipe fitter back in the 60, 65, 66, part of 67, but that didn't, and I was going to college at Cleary University in MC, and got called in the office one day just before summer break, and was scolded about my grade average. I was almost, like a C- average, and this professor, whatever he was, kept, I want something in writing. You can't remember, just kept stamping his finger on the top of the thing. In writing, what you're going to do to raise your grade point. I tried to explain to them, look, I'm on a apprenticeship program, I'm working hard, trying to stay out of the draft and this and that. I don't care, I want in writing tomorrow morning what you're going to do to raise your grade point. And I got up, turned around, started to walk out, dropped my pants and moved him. It wasn't a proud moment, but anyway, so long story short, 23 years later, I got to give the commencement address to the graduating class. And I have an honorary doctorate degree from Cleary University. So, and I sat on the board for 2 years after years later. So, let's see, what do we have? We have, one of the business I have is Screams Ice Cream and Halloween. We've become a big Halloween town with different things like that. We specialize, well, we do souvenirs, everything from t-shirts to rubber duckies to you name it, pretty much anything you can write hell on. You'll notice in your packet there's a postcard. If you look carefully, the postmark reads, have a hell of a good day. And we burn every single piece of mail that leaves our post office. But you'll also notice we always apologize when people are paying for their cards or greeting cards or postcards. They're always, we apologize because they're Hallmark cards, because we don't always send the very best. So just another thing to make them laugh and think about life itself. We sell the position of mayor. You can be mayor of our town for $125 a day. They get a nice package and everything from lanyards, t-shirts, horns to wear. Before we leave, we'd like to give everyone here, we sell hell by the square inch. You can buy a square inch of hell, $13. You can buy a star for $250 and never know where the hell it's at. So come right into Midtown and look across the street and you'll see this beautiful piece of land that is always soaking wet. And the beavers are eating all the trees right now and things like that, but it's a floodplain. And that's where your property is. So we'll give everybody a non-warranted deed before you leave here today. You'll fill in your own name on it. So, in fact, I'll grab one here shortly and read it so you can, as we give those away. Back to DamU. It's just been something, we've sent thousands of probably different diplomas away. We offer everything in stupidity, people with great hindsight. We have anal vision, duct tapeology, just a bunch of different things that we all could probably easily get a different degree in. So that was one of the things that is important to everybody, that you gotta have that college degree, they tell me. We mentioned I was in the military. After I was kicked out of school, of course, I became then eligible for the draft. And also, back then they had justice of the peace in the county. And I had to appear before the justice of the peace because I had 28 points on my driving record for drag racing and things like that. So I had a choice to go to jail or in the Army. So I went down and asked to be volunteered to be part of the draft and took it back to the justice of the peace. He had a fit. He wanted me out of town for 3-4 years, not 2 years. So anyway, I went on in and did my basic training, and somebody saw something in me and asked me to go to leadership school. Did that for 3 weeks and stuff, and it ended up, and I just felt I wanted to be infantry and not a mechanic, or which I always enjoyed doing and everything. And I think the pay was at that time, I think it was $68 a month was what I got for being in the Army. And if you went airborne, you got another $55. And I thought, well, that's what I want to do. And ended up going through jump school and ranger school, a few things like that. And went on, and they were sending, they just formed the 3rd and the 506, which was during World War II, was the Bantam Brothers. And it was decommissioned in 47 and brought back in 67. And so I volunteered for that. We trained together for about 5 months. And I celebrated my 21st birthday on a troop ship going to Vietnam. And so I was still kind of young. And got there, and we set the record of 72 days in the jungle without a shower. Any creek, anything like that was, we lived for it. Got resupplied every 5 days. You never wore underwear, you never wore socks, and stuff like that. So on the 19th of February, I will be in Washington, D.C. This will be my 32nd year in a row. We go there to, on the 19th of February in '68, there was that morning 28 guys in my platoon. At the end of the night, the end of the day, 18 were killed. I was actually shot 4 times, toe tagged, put in a body bag and pronounced dead. And in the morgue, they checked me out and said, Doc Lovey, who I talked to every couple of weeks just to make sure he's all right, who had pronounced me dead, he's still alive. I rolled off a pile of bodies, and the second time I rolled off, they decided to open it. I guess there was a young medic there, and he was arguing with Dr. Lovey. Lovey said he had checked me out. This kid took a ballpoint pen from his pocket and stabbed me in the foot, and I jumped. And I spent 57 days short of 2 years in the hospital recovering. So, but this, like I said, it'll be my 32nd year. We always meet at the wall on the 19th to be with those guys and stuff. So, when I was in the hospital, and again talking, I hope some things will rub off and help the younger generation here. There was nothing for us to do. Everybody was getting drunk and doing drugs and everything in the hospital, and they finally let me out. I talked to them about, why can't I go out and see if we can start an on-the-job training program for all of us. I knew I couldn't go back to pipe fitting and stuff. And so they finally let me get out, and I went to different businesses in the Denver, Colorado area. That's where Fitzsimmons Army Hospital was. We ended up with, when I left the hospital, there were 77 businesses, including Aurora Police Department, Fire Department, Denver Police and Fire, all gave everybody training. You had 90 days or less left in the service to be part of this. You could receive no money from whoever you were working with because you were getting military pay, so it was all just something to try to get out there and learn a new trade. And mine was the car business. And I really enjoyed it and stuff as a salesman and stuff. Moved back to Michigan, lived in Denver for probably about 7, 8 years. And my daughters were growing up with a grandparents or anybody in the family, so we moved back to Michigan, but not, you know, in the Pinckney area. Everybody wanted to live up north and ended up in Alpena, ran the dealership there for around 3 years, a Ford dealership, and then had the opportunity to buy a dealership in the town of Pinckney. That's where I grew up. Pinckney High School. I used to work for the guy as a kid at 45 cents an hour, pumping gas, and you know, changing tires, oil, and things like that. And it was same thing. Back in 77, he agreed to sell it to me at Christmas time. In January, I went in there and started. I had 4 employees, all guys and myself, and I didn't own it 6 weeks. And he had sold 7 cars in 77. In 34 years, his best year, he had sold 26 cars. And Chrysler came to close all those small little dealerships, and I was one of them. And I begged them to give me a chance. And they said, all right, you know, after a month of arguing and trying to convince them, they said, we'll give you until the end of the year and we'll see what you do. And I had the 4 guys and myself. Mrs. Wicker would come in one day a week and do the books and things like that. And so it ended up the year with 101 new cars sold. And it was just Chryslers and Plymouths. They let me stay, and in 2000, one of the things I had to think of things to be different than every place else. And for the first few years, I advertised Michigan's smallest Chrysler Plymouth dealer, and then it was the country dealer once I got Dodge and built a new facility. And you know, when I bought the other dealership, there was just 4 service bays, 2 gas pumps out front, and 1 car showroom. And there's absolutely no place to put any other cars. I think at one time we had 72 cars at our house. We had an old farmhouse with 10 acres. We kept cars there. People were coming to the house all hours of the day and stuff. So it was you know, real challenging, but we take anything and trade. At one time I remember, well, I took horses and cows, 16 geese one time, 2 pigs. You know, boats were popular. I took 2 houses in trade, and I got 3 acres right behind the business district of hell. So I had it was all on the same piece of property, but the one guy owned behind another store and stuff. And so I took that in trade, and I don't know, I think a year later, the grocery store was for sale. It was groceries in a little pizza place. And one of my employees, whose husband died at 46, left her with 5 kids. And her only experience was every once in a while she was a waitress at a bar near Pinckney before it got that busy. And her kids and my kids daughters were just best friends, and they were always between 2 houses and stuff like that. And so she had come up in the office for me to sign some paper, and she said, oh, can you believe it? That store's for sale. I just wish there was a way. I think 6 days later I owned it. Loaded her in the car with 2 other ladies that knew the story, and got going down the road and said, Patsy, I just want you to know. And I said, you don't work at the dealership anymore. She started crying. I go, no. I said, I just didn't think it was a good thing. That's why I brought the ladies along here. And so we pulled into the parking lot there. I said, here's your new job and your business. And she cried and carried on and everything else. But she did a good job. She worked there for like 7 years and stuff for me and stuff. When I sold the dealership, they said I had to, in 2000, they said that I had to sell, 387 new cars a year. They look at your location, I don't know if anybody's ever been to Pinckney. Our population is like 1,400 now. It was much smaller back then, but they told me I had to sell 387. They have some formula where they look at the area and stuff. I was the 4th largest volume dealer in the state of Michigan at that time. 58 employees, and we were doing just under 1,200 new cars and trucks a year. Just being different, and that's what it takes today. You just can't be like anybody else. The worst thing somebody could tell me, that's not going to work. I've owned 16 different businesses in my life, everything from restaurants, delis, 5 gas stations, and stuff like that. And they've all been Pinckney class. They've all been, I think probably 6 of them are still in business, of the original people that they helped out. So, but it's just something, you know. I think the worst thing anybody can tell me, I repeat it again, is you can't do that, that won't work. That's all I need. But when we come back to DamU and illegimentary non-carborundum, I remember laying on the floor in the barn mumbling that. And also, just throughout my whole life, that's been my motto, and that's what we I've always stuck with it, and actually proud of it. And I think my other wish in life was, that my daughters would do better than I. And one's a doctor. They both married doctors. Michelle, who absolutely, I just begged her to be in the car business with me, and she wanted no part of it. Well, she's second in command of the Detroit Auto Dealers Association. And 5 grandkids, and 4 were in med school, or through med school. So it was just nice to see that, life can, what you make it. Anybody got any questions? Anything at all? Go ahead.
I just wanted to tell everyone, I took a class in hell once. I had to go 3 times a week. University of Michigan owns a center, a spot. They own several hundred acres in hell. And hell has the best bogs. If you ever want to see a great bog here in Michigan and swamp areas, you go to hell. And so I got my degree in biology, so I took a class 3 times a week for 2 months, and they took us on a bus and took us out there, and we studied the flora and fauna of hell and all the bugs. It was very cool. So how many people do you know took the class in hell?
We always say, spend some time in hell while you can enjoy it. Anybody else?
Yes. I'd like to have you spell that word. That's your motto.
I can tell you, I couldn't spell it the way illegimentary non-carborundum. It's on every piece of. Oh, wait a minute. I do. Hang on, just a second. Let me set this down.
Thank you.
Maybe it would be on the diploma. Or it is, you got a, this is actually a diploma from DamU.
That's very straightforward. I'll copy it down.
You gotta try to see it in there. Elementary carborundum. You gotta try to see it in
That'll be a
the
challenge. but
Yes, it
we'll
would
look
be.
for it.
You could pass that around if you want to look at it. And I have, Yeah, if you want to pass those around.
So is the Donald Trump secretary the one that was the
Yeah,
president?
you did both, believe me.
No.
I don't know who, somebody just put it down.
Oh, was it a joke or?
Yeah, it's a joke.
Oh, okay. Oh.
All right. What I have here, which you will all have, a square inch of hell on earth. It's a non-warranted deed. Let it be known to all mankind and by those present that for some unknown reason, and the name goes below it, wishes to take claim to 1 square inch of hell. The following description premises is located somewhere in the area known as Hell, Township of Putnam, County of Livingston, in the state of Michigan. The square inch is located in section 32, Midtown Hell, north of Patterson Lake Road, running northwest of Hell Creek and continuing 95.43 feet on southwest side of Hell Creek, commonly known as Hell's Outlet. That's where all hell breaks loose. Continuing 262 feet into Hell Creek Lake, you have real lakefront property in Hell. In full consideration to others, let it be known that 1 square inch goes straight down for an undetermined depth, but on the surface it will always stay 1 square inch. Let it be known that hell does freeze over. It gets both colder than hell, hotter than hell, and some days, like life itself, it rains like hell. Signed, sealed, and singed. It's non-transferable. Any complaints, you go to hell and wait, and hell will take care of you. Okay?
I've loved your talk. Thank you so much.
Oh,
You're an incredible person.
what the hell did you expect?
Oh, no.
You know, please, if the group's doing any fundraisers or anything like that, you know, get a hold of us. We'll be happy to help and stuff like that.
I got a quick question.
Go ahead.
I was in and out, so I didn't hear a lot of it. What years did you own a dealership?
From, what was it, from 78, January 78, till the end of 2000.
Did you ever come across a guy by the name of Tom Hallam?
Tom who?
Hallam.
Doesn't ring a bell.
He worked with a lot of dealerships, and he was in Vietnam too, so I thought
Oh,
maybe.
okay, yeah, no, doesn't ring a
That's
bell.
us.
I think I was the only whose parents didn't own the dealership. I was the youngest and the only veteran, or young Vietnam veteran, to run the dealership. So, I'm sure that's changed by now. So,
Well, LaFontaine and Alcera owned almost everything, so.
I knew the LaFontaines. Anyway, so I always got a kick. They were always hollering at me, how the hell did you sell so many?
It'd be a cold day in hell before I tell you.
I ran my own wrecker at night for 13 years and just did things. I was there, you know. I had to get dressed up. I put a crease in my blue jeans. And so one thing that happened to me one time, which was, I think I was in business for about 2 years, and that's when Iacocca came aboard, and they were getting rid of all the small dealerships and things like that. And I just had never been, I knew 2 dealers really, the dealer in Howell, the dealer in Brighton, and the dealer in Ann Arbor. And so I would, do dealer trades with them and work together on cars and stuff like that. But I went to this convention in Las Vegas, and I got on the elevator, going down and stopped the floor, about next floor down or so, and this guy gets in and going, oh shit, that's Lee Iacocca. So I introduced myself and he says, he says, do you mind taking me around and introducing me to other dealers? I didn't know anybody at the other dealers, but I figured quickly, kind of thought, oh, you know, everybody knows who he is, so I think it'd be easy introducing. And long story short, I spent almost the whole day with him, and actually became good friends. Was at his house 3-4 times, and met his whole family, my wife and I, and stuff like that. And I was asked to speak at his funeral and stuff, so it was just, you know, you just never know what some of that stuff does. Anything else? All right, are we done for the day?
Almost, we're getting there.
All right, so hope everybody learned something, had a little laugh. We have, come on. Thank you. Turn off. Well, that's a technology.
Call the technology officer.
He's in a union, he doesn't work. There we go. Do the old-fashioned way. Okay, so we do have many events. Everybody can hear me without the microphone, or my close if the microphone is good. Yep, okay, good. Yeah, we do have a number of upcoming events. We do have the book club. This month they're reading He, She, They, How We Talk About Gender and Why It Matters. The first Saturday of every month we have Cuisine and Conversation, which is definitely our second most popular event after the actual assembly. Who's ever been to Cliff Bell's in Detroit? Not a lot of people. So this is actually a really cool place to be. It's right behind the Fox. It's an actual former speakeasy. Mayor Lansky and the Purple Gang, they used to run whiskey from Canada. That's where they used to hang out. So it's a real cool place. It's been updated over the years, but it still has that kind of cool jazz vibe. It's a little bit upscale, so it is a little bit of a dressy place. You don't have to wear like a suit and tie or anything like that, but don't show up wearing like cargo shorts and flip-flops, you know. I don't know, they may or may not let you in. But if you feel like, you know what, once in a while you need to get a little dressed up, treat yourself, reward yourself for whatever it is, this will definitely be the time to come out and do it. It is really delicious food, and they do have live entertainment. So join us on March 2nd, 6 p.m. Cliff Bell's, and then, like I said, every first Saturday of the month, every month, unless there's like a holiday or something like that, we would do Cuisine and Conversation. And the next assembly is going to be on March 10th. Please remember, I know you won't because it's a month out, that it will be daylight savings time. You know you're going to get a whole bunch of warnings, and most people will still forget, but please try not to. Now we have fajitas. Who's ready for fajitas? Yeah, who enjoyed the pasta last month? Yeah, we're so excited. Alright, so before we break for food, I just want to say that we do have chicken, steak, and tofu up there. If anybody needs, first, seconds, we have plenty to go around. If anybody needs to take any food home, if anybody wants to take some food home for themselves, or maybe somebody that they know. There's a lot of people out there that don't necessarily have a lot of meals, a lot of good meals. Maybe you see a family on the side of the road a lot of times. I know that when I travel between Farmington and Northville for work, I see a couple of families on the side of the road holding signs. If you want to take a to-go container and hand it to them, that's awesome. That's what we're here for. This is part of the help often as well. It's good to be charitable. And that brings us to my next point, donations. We are a 503c. That is how we collect money. This is how we pay for stuff. Now, I am the resident chef, and all the meals we've been doing so far, I have paid for myself. People do bring in other things as well, so it's not just me up there, but the main dishes, I take care of myself. Now, I'm not the richest man in the world, I'm probably not that close, but I'm working on it. So I'm hoping I'd be able to feed everybody one day. But until then, I could really use everybody's help to bring stuff in, as well as if you can't bring something in, donations are great as well. Right now, we're doing assemblies once a month. Our goal is to eventually do them every week if possible, maybe every other week. And that takes a lot of food, a lot of catering. More people are coming in. So all your contributions really do help, and they go a long way. Some of the things that we do, I mentioned earlier that we'll be doing marketing, live events. Who's been to Deli in the Alley? Who's heard of Deli in the Alley, just never went? Oh, you never went. What? No, it's an awesome place to be, and really, there's like most of the people that go there are people just like us, looking for a good time, down to earth, cool people, and I think that we can make a lot of friends there. And there's other events and festivals, so they cost money, and that's what we use your donations for. We don't take any money for ourselves. We do this out of the goodness of our own heart. So we volunteer. If you want to volunteer, that'd be awesome as well. Just something to keep in mind, there are cards on your tables with QR codes. We also accept cash donations because we are old-fashioned like that too. But we do PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, however you're comfortable doing it. We can even do just a straight-up credit card processing. I'll just do that through my business. I promise it is safe and secure. So, as I mentioned above, is part of humanism, and it's part of our goal to make more meal preps. Eventually, our overall goal, as much as we love the temple, it'll always be the temple for me. Right now, it's the Congregation for Humanistic Judaism, or Judaistic Humanism, I don't remember which one's which, but eventually it'd be great if we had our own place. If we had our own building with our own kitchen that we could actually supply for the needy. There's a place in Pontiac a restaurant called Nick's Place. And every year for Thanksgiving and Christmas, they prep meals and they deliver them to the needy people around Pontiac. And that'd be a great thing for us to do in other parts of Detroit, maybe even across all of Detroit. So that is going to be eventually the goal, and we can only do that with people's contributions and involvement. So with that in mind, remember, please donate. Here's some ways to donate. And I am done talking, so everybody eat.
Manda.